start streaming, so we should be live now. Now it should be extremely live. We should be very live right this minute. It should be live. I'm just
Fantastic.
It's live. We're live, baby.
Are we live? Are we?
We're live. Welcome to the live world. Hello and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast that is now live thanks to being the monthly news. And that's what we're doing with monthly news now. We're doing it as a live stream because it's easier and quicker, and there's not
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. I just got the notification. My favorite YouTube channel went live, so I'm going to watch that. 2 seconds.
Who's your favorite YouTube channel, and how did you find out that they were
I wonder.
Was it?
I wonder.
Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast, and you found out they were live by subscribing and hitting that bell, so that they could push notifications onto your phone whenever there's a new video.
Punch the bell in the face is what the kids say. What does Jacksepticeye say? Punch that like button in the face. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course I know who you. Do I know who Jacksepticeye is? I'm sorry. Yes, have I been on the internet? I haven't seen. I haven't, I love Jacksepticeye, but I have not watched his videos in over a year, so I do not remember.
Yeah, I haven't watched him in 5 years. I watched him before he was cool, actually, when he had 50,000 subscribers.
Oh wow, okay, I got 200,000. 200,000 Jacksepticeye. You got me beat.
When I was watching him, he was doing it from his shed or whatever. So
yeah, no, I was about the same, but I had him few tens of thousands more than when you found him. But I just haven't watched. I don't really watch gaming stuff on YouTube anymore.
Apart from psychedelic gaming hobos, I watch that channel every day, just praying they come back.
Yeah, no, but actually, thinking about it,
same here.
I used to consume gaming content on YouTube all the time.
Yeah, I used to watch Game Grumps, Oni Plays, Super Mega, PewDiePie for a little bit, Jacksepticeye every single day. So
yeah,
and now I just don't watch anything now apart from psychedelic gaming hobos. Subscribe.
Yeah, no, I used to watch Nerd Cubed. I used to watch Many a True Nerds, Game Grumps. A bunch of other gaming people, but now I pretty much just watch news on YouTube, and commentators and podcasts, and wrestling.
This is such a
lot of wrestling stuff on.
This is a interesting way to open up a Doctor Who news podcast.
You got a waffle for the opening few minutes before people get into the show, but it's fine. It's not like we have a lot to talk about this month, because this month or this past month in the land of Doctor Who has been a desert. It usually is around this time of year.
Yeah.
We usually find that this is a bleak period for Doctor Who news, and that trend continues as this continues to be just nothing going on. We have got a continuation from last month's headline story, as we were talking about the announcement of the war between the land and the sea last month. We are now talking about some of the cast that's been announced for the land, the war between the land and the sea. It's a really long title, but this is from the official Doctor Who website. Production on the spin-off is already well underway. The series is being directed by Dylan Holmes Williams, who has 3 first names, who directed Doctor Who season... I guess Holmes isn't. Who directed Doctor Who season 1 episode 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble, which are 2 solid episodes. Yeah. They both have issues, but they're fine. They're well directed.
2 of the best directed episodes.
Yeah, they
of the
are well
season,
directed. Yeah.
Yeah.
As shooting begins, the cast and crew gathered on August 19th, 2024 for, I don't know why they specified the year, for the first, as if it was like they did this last year actually, for the first script read-through written by Russell T. Davis and Pete McTighe, who's written things like A Discovery of Witches, The Pact, and a show called Doctor Who. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Leading the series are Russell Tovey and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. Joining them are Gemma Redgrave and Alexander Devrient, reprising their roles in Doctor Who as Unit's finest, Chief Scientific Officer Kate Lethbridge-Stewart and Colonel Christopher Abraham, respectively, who was the one that had the slight love interest story going on during that final between him and Lethbridge.
Yeah, he and Kate looked at each other and were like, yeah, I fancy fucking you.
Yeah, which is what you want in a workplace.
Great development.
Anniversary specials as Unit Scientific Advisory. I'm sorry, hang on. I don't know how to read.
Oh.
Additional cast joining the series include Ruth Madeley returning in her role from the 60th anniversary specials as Unit Scientific Advisor, Shirley Ann Birmingham, and Colin McFarlane reprising his role as General Austin Pierce from Torchwood, Children of Earth. So, the heavens have aligned. Pure incredible coincidence that as we are looking through Children of Earth and spending the past month going through it on the podcast, that one of the main characters, or I guess one of the tertiary characters in that show gets cast in the new upcoming spin-off. It was fated. It was destined to be. This was forever in the heavens for us. He plays the American dude, the American soldier guy that's shouting at the Prime Minister, whose eyes were his pupils were massive.
I mean, no, he's
Torchwood.
Is he not the guy who works? Oh, I'm confused now. Never mind. Yeah, he might be American. I thought he was a unit guy.
No, he's
he
the
a unit
American
guy?
No, he's the American
Okay, yes,
guy.
okay. I'm wrong.
You are wrong and racist.
No. It's just been a while since we've covered Torchwood.
Yeah, we've not watched Children of Earth in ages. It's been so long since we watched.
It's been over
Children
a week.
Of Earth. Yeah, yeah, and they all look the same, don't they, Scott?
No. You edit this out.
He plays the American guy, so interesting.
He was also in Doctor Who as the Heavenly Host. You just mentioned heaven multiple times. He was a Heavenly Host in the Voyage of the Damned. He has a great voice. So of course
he does have a good voice.
He would be a voice actor in the show. He's also in Under the Flood, which is an episode I haven't seen since it aired. He's one of the ghouls. Don't remember the story too well, but if you Google his name,
what episode?
From series 9.
Under the Flood is a band, apparently.
Nice.
Doctor Who.
It's
before the flood. Before the flood.
He's in both. He's in both episodes.
I just searched Under the Flood and nothing came up.
I think there's also Under the Lake is part 2 or part 1. Remember, this is the season where every episode was a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was Under the Lake and Before the Flood, so I was half right.
Yeah.
I was mixing the two together.
But it's the one with the I remember. I haven't seen this since it aired either, but I remember the monster design being very cool. The giant. You got that shot of Capaldi looking up at the giant big monster guy, but I remember it being a pretty bad story.
Yeah, but I'm looking up just Under the Lake Doctor Who, and you got ghostly Peter Capaldi with skeleton eyes, which I fucking love.
I straight up don't remember that happening either, so that's interesting.
Oh, I think it was a cliffhanger to part 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's foreshadowing.
We need to cover this someday.
It's cool. It wasn't a great series of Doctor Who. I remember it being better than Capaldi's previous series, but I hated every episode being a 2-parter. It drove me insane. I was like, fucking Jesus Christ.
Oh no, this was a period where I was peak classic Who is better than modern Who. And I was like, yeah, of course. We're following the classic Who format, so therefore it's better. And then every episode was like, oh, this was okay. Oh, this was bad. Oh, okay. I take everything back.
But
My mistake.
that sounds exactly like classic Who, though. That's it's the classic Who experience.
Yeah.
But it's cool that this guy's coming back for the war between the land and the sea. I presume, since they specifically mentioned he's reprising this role from Children of Earth, that the U.S. are going to try and stick their nose into whatever is going on in this between the Sea Devils and UNIT, and it also kind of feels like it's treading the same ground that Torchwood kind of did when they were trying to break into the American market before. Which is, set it in America, have some American characters. Maybe the next spin-off will be about how everybody's immortal now, and it's in America.
I hope not. God, I hope not. But yeah, it's an interesting character to bring back because it's not a character who's on anybody's radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was totally like, oh okay.
Like, it's just such a random character to bring back after he's been in the show since Torchwood Children of Earth as someone else with Peter Capaldi. Is like, why is he coming back?
Yeah,
I just don't see how his character fits in the storyline, but he did bring a lot of like gravitas to his role in Torchwood. So I am looking forward to seeing him coming back, and also Shirley Ruth Madeley. I'm looking forward to seeing her coming back as well because she's been very absent since the 60th anniversary. Yeah,
she has, and it will be interesting to see how much of this ties in with Doctor Who as well. Is it gonna be? Is the Doctor gonna make a cameo appearance like he does in Class to save the day? Is he gonna steer clear? Is it gonna be
one of the main selling points that Russell is doing at the moment is what happens when the Doctor isn't around, which is exactly the same selling point as Torchwood Children of Earth. What happens if the Doctor isn't around? So I don't think he's going to be around.
Yeah, I also I'm always hesitant to believe in Doctor Who spin-offs because I'm like, does this have legs? Does this need to exist? Is this going to be even worth watching? And so far, most of them have been like, yeah, it's fine to good. Sarah Jane Adventures is a good time. Torchwood is a mixed bag, but pretty good. Class is there as well. So I'm hoping it's good. I'm really hoping this is good. I have very low expectations. I have extremely low expectations.
We still don't know anything about the plot, and that's the main selling point to me. If the plot sounds interesting, I'm in, but we just know nothing apart from Sea Devils and UNIT.
Yeah.
There's nothing to go off of here apart from the cast.
Yeah, which is interesting. But speaking of people coming back to Doctor Who, shall we move on to our next story, which is Matthew Jacobs is returning to write an 8th Doctor audio drama. This is the man who wrote the Doctor Who TV movie, has contributed a script to the upcoming audio box set Deadly Strangers. This is taken from cultbox.co.uk, which is a WordPress website, interestingly enough. Matthew Jacobs' connection to Doctor Who goes back to his childhood. His father, Anthony Jacobs, appeared opposite William Hartnell in The Gunfighters, and he has memories of a set visit. Why are we talking about his memories? Fast forward to 1996 with script credits on Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Jacobs penned the script for Doctor Who, the movie. And then we continue to go through what Doctor Who the movie is. I just want to get to the bit where he's talking about Big Finish. Here we go. Now he's writing for the Doctor again, this time for Big Finish Productions. Jacobs has contributed a story to December's release in the 8th Doctor Adventures reigns. Puccini and the Doctor. Big Finish tell us in Jacobs' story, the TARDIS arrives in Milan at the turn of the 20th century, where the time travelers encounter a legendary opera composer, Giacomo Puccini, but the Doctor's not the only alien around with an interest in the music of love. The story will feature a regular cast of Paul McGann, India Fisher, Jay Griffiths joining the team. Tim McInerney from Blackadder and Game of Thrones plays Puccini, which is really interesting. That story sounds like every single Big Finish story I've ever heard in my life. Matthew Jacobs says, "This is the first time I've written for a Doctor Who adventure since 1996. The Doctor is such an integral part of my life, so it's been fascinating over the years to see it grow and grow. Paul has kept the Doctor alive at Big Finish in a marvelous way, and he has become so much more sophisticated as a character than when we were starting. I was over the moon when script editor Matt Fitton asked me to put together a story. We discussed that this version of Paul's Doctor is a bit closer to the TV movie Doctor, inquisitive, not as embittered as he gets through the Time War. The idea that stuck out was one where I got to deal with some unfinished business from the TV movie. In the movie, the Doctor says how sad it was that Puccini never got to finish the Turandot, and it was his bane of his life towards the end. I wanted to tell the story to do with the nature of how we use music and how we search for love." Which does sound kind of interesting. I like how it ties into the Doctor Who movie a bit. It also... I kind of highlights the Big Finish, because this is part of since they like rebooted the Eighth Doctor or something, you know. So it's like you've got all this history with the Time War and stuff with the Doctor, but we can ignore that now because that's all done. We're moving on, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect this character. This is a separate story.
Oh, I mean, with Big Finish, the Eighth Doctor has like multiple series going on at once at the moment. You know, there's box sets that are being released to this day where it's him and his first companion from the Big Finish run. And there's modern stuff where it's his modern companions. And then there's a third series where it's him during the Time War. So there's like 3 different series going on at once. So
Jesus Christ.
it's a bit all over the place.
How does anybody keep up with it without like a flow chart of like, okay, this is...
Yeah. But basically, that's how I'm planning on eventually getting round to the Eighth Doctor series, because I really want to go from start to finish, you know, just going along a reasonable timeline, as long as it's not too expensive to follow, which it fucking will be, because each box set is £25.
That's why I'm just listening to the Big Finish podcast. It's just, you know, if they throw in some Eighth Doctor stories, they're awesome. I'm just taking whatever they give me. It's the cheapest, because it's free, possible way of listening to Big Finish and enjoying it.
Yeah, but you skipped over this part of the article where it says Jacobs moved away from Doctor Who circles for many years, but returned with his recent documentary, Doctor Who Am I? In the film, he reflected on the TV movie and its mixed reception. That movie is fucking very good, that documentary. No, I'm talking about the documentary, which you haven't seen.
How do you know? How do you know I've not seen it? Maybe I just didn't tell
you.
All
right, what's... But yeah, it's about his relationships with the fans, and there's a whole lot of stuff. Like, he talks to the fans about the more controversial kind of moments in the movie, about the Doctor kind of kissing and stuff like that, which is very... that movie does lay a lot of the groundwork for what modern Who is, which we discovered when we covered the podcast in like a 4.5-hour video.
Yeah, it's a long one, and one of our earliest episodes as well. It was a very long time ago we covered that. Maybe one day we'll revisit the movie and do another. We'll do an 8-hour podcast on it instead of a 4-hour.
Maybe even an audio commentary. Maybe we could revisit these older stories with audio commentaries.
Yeah, maybe.
Depends. We'll eventually start growing and just see what the fans want. You know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, it's nice for him to finally return to the role. I can't believe he hasn't been. I'd imagine he has been asked since he wrote the movie, since Paul McGann came to Big Finish, right? Like, they couldn't just not ask him for the last 25 years. That would be insane.
Maybe, but you know, maybe they just had no interest in it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's plenty of other like classic Who writers that I presume are still alive that might not have been at. You know, there's a deep pond. You got so many people. But if he's back writing for Big Finish and Doctor Who, maybe he wants to come back and write another spin-off show. about the Eighth Doctor, his adventures in live
Maybe
action.
that would be cool.
Maybe
That would be
be
cool.
pretty cool.
And also, I'm like 99% certain that he was the guy who wrote the original draft for An Emperor's New Groove,
Interesting.
the classic
Yeah,
Disney
it's a
movie,
good
which I
movie.
fucking loved.
Good movie. Yeah.
Emperor's New Groove. Let me just double check. I think they do mention this in the doc. Yeah, he did. He wrote at least the original draft, I think. So he's like one of
Hell
the 25 writers who wrote that fucking movie.
yeah. It's a good movie though. It holds up really well.
It does. It's fucking great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it when I first watched it. Speaking of enjoying things, or a lack thereof enjoying things, the BBC has thrown out complaints about a Bridgerton-inspired Doctor Who episode that featured a gay kiss. You can tell that we're scraping the barrel for news this
Yep.
month.
We never talk about stuff like this.
Yeah. This is from Deadline. The BBC has dismissed viewer complaints about an episode of Doctor Who featuring a historic gay kiss between Ncuti Gatwa and Jonathan Groff. I don't know what's historic about it. There's gay kisses on Doctor Who every other episode. Two disgruntled audience members. Two.
Yes.
Why is this even getting a fucking article? Like this, like two people complained after a show that got like 5 million views live. Two disgruntled audience members took issue with the inappropriate sexual innuendo that developed between Gatwa's Time Lord and Groff's bounty hunter Rogue in a Bridgerton-inspired story. The viewer said that season 14 episode titled Rogue featured content that was unsuitable for children. One person added that the speed of the Doctor and Rogue's connection was concerning. Who are they? Are they fucking Elon Musk on Twitter? Just concerning.
Oh, yes.
The BBC's Executive Complaints Unit threw out the concerns in a ruling on Thursday. The unit said the sexual innuendo was mild and suitable for Doctor Who's young audience. The ECU considered the sexual innuendo to be towards the mildest end of the spectrum and in any case likely to go over the heads of children. The development of the relationship served the needs of a fast-moving plot and it was unlikely to strike viewers of any age as a model for interpersonal relationships outside of this particular fictional context. The Doctor Who episode set in the British Regency period of 1813 and first broadcast on June 8th made history after featuring the first ever explicitly romantic same-sex kiss on screen. Fuck off! No, it didn't.
I presume they mean. Actually, no. It's we also mentioned in this article, like 2 paragraphs down, about John Barrowman kissing the Doctor at the end of series 1.
Yeah, but apparently that one didn't have sexual charge, is what they go on to say. Keep reading this article. Mischievously flirting throughout the episode, shocking the other guests at the Regency Ball with same-sex dancing, their united effort finally saw Rogue sacrifice himself to save the world, but not before he gave the Doctor a goodbye kiss. John Barrowman's Captain Jack briefly kissed Christopher Eccleston's Doctor in a 2005 episode, but that encounter lacked the sexual charge of the Time Lord's encounter with Rogue. And Jodie Whittaker's Doctor had an implied romantic connection with her female companion Yaz, but their feelings were left implicit with the odd yearning glance. Pretty sure they explicitly got together in the end.
But they had a whole Kingdom Hearts date.
Yeah, they I don't think they ever kissed, but they did share ice cream. But there have been same-sex kisses between different supporting characters in the series, but this new episode marks the first time the Doctor has been portrayed as being sexually interested in someone of the same gender and acting on it, except for the stuff with Jodie Whittaker and Yaz, literally as we were just talking about.
I mean, as we said, Jodie didn't act on it. She was shy.
They got together. Like, they just didn't show on.
Yeah, they got together. It took them a while.
But they did end up getting together and being like, "I'm in love with you. You're in love with me." That is expressing a sexual interest in someone. But hey, what do I know?
Just a ridiculous thing to complain about. It's not the first time in the show there's been a same-sex kiss. Deep Breath had a same-sex kiss between Vastra and Jenny. So that also got a lot of complaints, and that was fucking 10 years ago exactly.
Yeah.
10 years ago last week. That's fucking insane.
But like the fact that
Yeah,
only
no.
2 people complained is a really good sign of progress. That we get out, the episode got millions of views,
Yeah.
only 2 people bothered to put in a complaint. Why this
Yeah,
article
just
needs to exist in the first place is baffling.
yeah. And also the idea that the relationship was too fast, therefore it was concerning. Fucking what's the episode called? The Girl in the Fireplace kind of is a similar
Yeah.
kind of relationship between the
And,
Doctor and Madam
I
Lady
mean,
person.
like, wait until that person finds out about, like, one night stands. They're going to be
Yeah.
freaked. Like, whoa. Like,
Oh yeah, just fucking insane. And yeah, I'm glad it's only 2 viewers. If it was like 100, then I'd be like, oh fuck, we're
yeah.
still fucked. We are still fucked because I saw a load of complaints on Twitter after that episode
No,
aired
but,
about Doctor Who being too woke, but most of those people aren't real, so
yeah, I was about to say, most of those people are just bots, and most of those people
yeah.
don't watch the show anyway, and are just looking
Mm-hmm.
to upset people. Twitter is a hellscape. It's terrible, and
Yeah.
it's... But hey, it's getting, like, properly banned in Brazil, I think, at the minute, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
If only that could happen here as well. That would be great. Just get rid of it.
Fingers crossed, especially after what happened over summer. Like fucking ridiculous. More restrictions haven't been put in place. Like fucking just shut the website down everywhere. Honestly, it's fucking ridiculous that the website is still around as it is. Jesus Christ.
Speaking of things getting taken down and vanishing from existence, Doctor Who episode featuring disgraced presenter Hugh Edwards removed from the BBC iPlayer to be redubbed. This is from Deadline. The BBC is starting to scrub Hugh Edwards from its vast library of content, which is interesting, and I'll get to that when I finish this article, but that's an interesting point. The UK broadcaster has temporarily removed from iPlayer an episode of Doctor Who featuring the disgraced news anchor who this week pleaded guilty to indecent child images charges. No longer available to stream is Fear Her, which everyone is really upset about. And installing from Series 2 of the sci-fi drama starring David Tennant and Billie Piper, the episode is now being redubbed to remove Edwards, whose voiceover features during a news clip. He features when Chloe Webber, a girl who is terrorized by a demonic version of her abusive dead father, makes everyone disappear in a sports stadium. Then it gives the quote that he gives. It's really not that important. A BBC spokesperson said, an episode of Doctor Who has been temporarily removed from the BBC iPlayer to be redubbed. They added, as you would expect, we are actively considering the availability of our archive. While we don't routinely delete content from the BBC archive as it is a matter of historical record, we do consider the continued use and reuse of material on a case-by-case basis. The article continues, it's perhaps unsurprising that executives looked at the Edwards episode, given the nature of his crimes and that Doctor Who has a young fan base. The Daily Mirror reported that the footage of Edwards would be edited out. It's still available to stream on HBO
Why did they need to bring out? Why did we need to bring out the Daily Mirror? Just saying the same thing the article itself.
This entire article is like copy and pasted the same information like 5 times. So like it's really interesting, especially the comments on this article, which everyone is like, censorship, Orwellian, 1984, which they literally say the episode's going to be back. They're not taking it down forever; they are putting it back. You know, they're sticking it back in. But the top bit there, if the BBC is starting to scrub Hugh Edwards from its vast library of content, I understand why you would want to do that and why you would probably need to do that because, you know, dude's a creep, dude's a sexual criminal with weird stuff with kids. At the same time, is it manipulating history to make yourself look better in the long, like, oh no, that Hugh Edwards wasn't in anything, what are you talking, never heard of the guy, didn't give him any money. You look, find a single film with Hugh Edwards in it, can't do it, we don't have it. You know,
I mean,
I disagree with the idea of going back and retroactively changing things to fit modern standards. You know, it's the same idea of going back and removing episodes from TV shows that had like blackface or racially inappropriate stuff. Like at the time, it was considered acceptable. Like, so just fucking say that. Give a little disclaimer. Hey, at the time, this what aired on TV are bad. You know, oh, at the time we didn't know Hugh Edwards was a pedophile. Whoops. You know, like,
you know, in cases like blackface or racism, I think those kind of things need to be preserved and have a warning at the start. You know, the old Warner Brothers cartoons have. I think it's Whoopi Goldberg come out and explain the context of American history at the time those cartoons aired or were theatrically released. Whereas here, it's 10 seconds of a pedophile being removed from a TV show aimed towards kids in an episode about a child who has been abused. Which, you know, if you watch the episode and you're like, oh, this kid has been abused. Oh fuck, Hugh Edwards, he also abused kids.
For the context of the Doctor Who episode, I'm completely fine with it, especially because they are, like, if they were just taking the episode down completely, then I would be like, okay, that is a fucking insane overreaction for a single line of dialogue. But the fact that it's getting redubbed and stuck back up, that's fine. How long does it take to redub one line of dialogue?
Yeah, it's been a while, but this isn't the first time that they've had to remove episodes from the library or whatever due to they've done the same thing with the Sarah Jane Adventures. There's an episode about like a Native American curse that got put on Clyde or something, and apparently they got some information wrong about the history of this tribe, so they removed some of those lines to just, you know, we don't want to be racist, so we removed some of those lines, and the episode still works apparently. So this isn't the first time, but removing episodes, as we said, removing full-on episodes like Always Sunny or The Golden Girls is just over the top. It's ridiculous.
Honestly, completely ridiculous. I do not understand the motivation behind it at all.
There's a really funny episode of The Golden Girls where they get spa face masks, and just coincidentally at the same time their African American viewers come over, and so they walk into the living room and they're like, oh no, we I think it's Betty White and somebody else, and Betty White is like, oh no, we're not black. it's a really fucking funny moment, which you know, the joke is a potential misinterpretation of what is going on in that moment, but that episode got removed even though they weren't actually being racist. It was just white people trying to not appear racist.
Yeah, see,
it's ridiculous.
The Sunny one is interesting because it was like several episodes got removed, but the main ones that got removed were the Lethal Weapon. They go to make their own Lethal Weapon sequel, and Mac wants to play Murtaugh, who is the black man in the movies. Yep. And he decides that he needs to be in blackface to do it. So he carts himself out in blackface, and everybody else is really uncomfortable with it and thinks it's a bad idea, but Mac thinks it's the best way to play the character. And halfway through the episode, they swap characters because they wanted to play different people instead. Dennis plays Murtaugh, but he does it without blackface because he was like, that was a step too far. Mac, what are you doing? But there's like scenes where like Mac is in the shower with blackface on, and it's like just coming off and peeling as he's like trying to do. And the whole point of the episode is, you know, making fun of Mac for being racist and ignorant and stuff.
The whole point of Always Sunny is the characters are all terrible people. It's like removing the episode of South Park where Eric Cartman dresses up as a KKK member by mistake and thinks he's a ghost. Which, you know, but the character of Eric Cartman is racist, and the whole point of the show is to make fun of racist people, where the butt of a joke all the time. The Community episode also got fucking banned for blackface, even though
Oh
it
my
was
god, yeah. It's like it's he's an
Ken Jeong
elf.
dressed as a dragon. Yeah, it was a dragon and Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah, and
episode. I think
he's
it was.
dressed. Yeah, it was. It's a really good episode, and he's dressed as a black elf or whatever the fuck it is, and that caused. It's literally for like maybe 5 seconds as well. Like it is
Yeah.
not there for very long. It's a very minor part of the episode where when all the other characters see him, they're like, okay, that's super inappropriate. You're not welcome here.
Yeah.
You're not welcome to play D&D with us because you came in blackface. Why did you do that? But
Yeah, people getting upset about a pedophile being removed from a 10 seconds of a Doctor Who episode it's really telling that they're just here because they're against woke culture. They probably just never watched Doctor Who to begin with. It's the same as the people who complain about Doctor Who kissing a man. Just ridiculous people who fucking. Or some people who fucking watch advert breaks and keep count of all the adverts of, okay, 80% of this advert break features minorities. And that makes me upset, you know? And don't take that out of context.
You've already said questionable things on this episode, Scott. Yeah, I mean, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? It takes all sorts to fucking be weirdos and complain and waste time off the people that regulate TV. But hey, that's why it's there. In other less depressing news, details on the Doctor Who proms. Doctor Who proms gets a BBC release window. This is from Digital Spy. Russell T Davies has some exciting news, it says. Ooh. Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies has announced when the show's BBC prom will air on TV. The musical tribute to the science fiction show will return to the BBC this year for the first time since 2013 to celebrate the iconic score created by composer Murray Gold for modern Doctor Who. Davis was in the audience as the Doctor Who prom was filmed at the Royal Albert Hall on Monday, with Catherine Tate on stage as the official host. The producer wrote on Instagram, "The Doctor Who prom, so much happiness, joy and laughter and thrills and songs. There was even a twist at the end. It'll be on your TV at Christmas in the UK. Thank you to everyone." Which I'm really interested, like, why there's such a huge fucking gap between the actual proms and the airing of Christmas, you know?
Yeah, this is something they do all the time. It's we've done this in the past. I remember one day it aired on like New Year's Eve when it had originally the event happened in like June or something. So this is very common, but I imagine it's because of ratings. It makes more sense to put it on at the Christmas period because that's one extra show you can have at Christmas that's fairly cheap to edit, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just it's a fairly cheap event to film and edit and all that. So might as well put it out at Christmas, and also Doctor Who at Christmas in the first place as well. So it makes more sense, I think.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm absolutely gonna watch it. I'm very excited for it. Showcasing composer Murray Gold's epic music for the series performed by the BBC National Orchestra of Wales. The prom features sequences from the series on big screen, spectacular lighting, and a host of special guest appearances. And yes, there will be monsters, a concert like no other in all of space and time, the BBC has promised. The Doctor Who prom was, at one time, a semi-regular event, with shows taking place from 2008 to 2010. The musical event returned for Doctor Who's 50th anniversary in 2013, but then it took a long break before this year's prom. It basically sounds like it's a thing that Russell T Davies likes putting on and no other showrunner did.
Yeah. I mean, 2013 as well. So that's
yeah, but that was just a one time for the 50th. That was like okay, because it's a special event, not just because I feel like doing it. It's an exciting time for Doctor Who fans as Davis and his production team recently unveiled the guest cast joining Nicola Colum in the Christmas special Joy to the World. The showrunner has also confirmed several Doctor Who stars will return for the upcoming spin-off series, The War Between the Land and Sea, which we've already talked about earlier on in the show. The prom seemed like a really good time. Both Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies were there. Didn't see any Chibnall photos. Didn't catch Chibnall.
Fake fan.
Yeah, hates Doctor Who.
But yeah, the Doctor Who proms are always fun. I like to watch them. I know it's available on BBC Sounds at the moment. You can listen to the event. I like to actually watch it because watching all those people put together the music like a 60-piece or orchestra or whatever, that's more impressive to me than listening to music, I think. Like, it's impressive just to watch all those people work together to create good music. I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what, and it feels like a good thing. It does feel like a good thing to put on at Christmas. So I'm looking forward to watching it slightly drunk. You know, that's going to be a chill, cozy time to have it on and playing, and can't wait. Cannot wait. In other news, Disney is happy with Doctor Who. The Disney boss says Doctor Who is a really good fit in response to co-production. It's great to have it. And this goes against almost every single thing you will see on Twitter about Disney and Doctor Who. Disney has said
Doctor Who.
Yeah, Disney has said Doctor Who is a really good fit for them as they co-produce the new era of the show. While the show still airs on BBC in the UK, it has been distributed on the streaming service Disney Plus internationally as part of a recent deal. Though debate has surfaced on how much of a success the new model has been since it began with the recent season. Speaking at the Edinburgh TV Festival, Disney's SVP of Original Productions and EMEA, wow, what a cool title, Liam Keelan said via Deadline, Doctor Who is a fabulous series. Obviously in the UK it's fully BBC, rightly so. We take the rest of the world rights, but we're really, really happy to have it. I just think the quirkiness of it, the fact that it's the that it's in that, oh my god, I cannot read. The fact that it's in that sci-fi world, and when you think about what Disney offers in other regards, I think it feels like a really good fit to me. I mean, it's great to have it. However, Deadline notes that Keelan didn't commit to the deal continuing beyond the next season of the show, because why would he announce that on a random Deadline interview? The BBC and Disney deal has changed the series' UK broadcast schedule, with episodes premiering earlier on iPlayer with Saturdays in line with the Disney Plus schedule, before its traditional broadcast on BBC One that evening, which both you and I had lots of feelings about when it first happened. I got used to it when the show started. But it did.
To be honest,
I missed that feeling of watching it live with everybody. But it was still fine. It was like whatever, you know.
To be honest, I almost fucking forgot about the release change. Like, until you said that line, I almost completely forgot about the change in broadcast. So I think that says a lot about how my opinion has changed since.
Yeah, it worked out fine, and it was the midnight release is only kind of worth it if the episode is good, because I remember I didn't catch the midnight release for really any of the episodes except the series final, and that was just not worth it. That was just not worth staying up to midnight to watch, you know. And that was like, fucking, I could have just watched this in the morning. You live and learn. You live and learn.
As I said, I used to watch Twin Peaks at fucking 2 a.m. in the morning, so I'm used to having to stay up late for shit like this. And Twin Peaks fucking works at 2 a.m. in the morning. That show was a fever dream and a half.
Yeah. It's I've only seen the first series of Twin Peaks. It's all right. It's pretty good. The article continues on to talk about how the ratings were kind of low, and how Russell T Davies was like, yeah, but it's fine actually, because that's just not how TV ratings work anymore. But he also praised the increased budget that the deal has provided, adding that if Disney collapsed tomorrow and we had to go back to making Doctor Who on a normal BBC budget, you know what, we'd rally round and make it, and suddenly the stories would become very claustrophobic ghost stories. Which maybe that's would be a good thing actually, because some of these stories were a bit too all over the place. A lot of people would like that very much. There you go. So I'm not saying you have to have this happen, but while it's happening elsewhere, I think it's unfair that it doesn't happen to Doctor Who. So the little nugget in that article is the idea that the Disney still haven't renewed Doctor Who past series 2, which we know Russell is written or writing season 3 with the hopes that a deal is going to be struck. He seems confident that a deal is going to be struck. It seems insane to me that they wouldn't continue the deal. Like, it seems like so much money to just be like, actually, we only want 2 seasons, though.
I mean, they just fucking announced a spin-off. I imagine Disney put a potential spin-off. No, they were probably like, yeah, we'll do 2 seasons and maybe a spin-off if you have anything. Other than that, we'll go back at the table at another time. We'll renegotiate. And I imagine if they were disappointed with Doctor Who over the summer, they wouldn't continue to fund the spin-off that's currently being filmed. They would be like,
maybe,
yeah, I don't, yeah, I think we're kind of done with this. But as we said, Doctor Who is a good part of a brand. It fits well with what we're doing with Marvel and Star Wars. It's a very similar in that kind of genre. It works well, and they don't have to spend as much money on it. They just spent 180 million on fucking The Acolyte. 180 million on that show versus less than 10 million per episode of Doctor Who, which when it was first announced that they were doing Doctor Who, I think the original rumor was 10 million per episode, and then Russell was like, no, it's definitely way less than 10 million. So it's less than 10 million. So that's not as much money we're putting in. So I think it's worth it in the end run. To renew the contract. We're probably just renegotiating as we speak, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and maybe I would like for us, it doesn't really affect us. I feel like Doctor Who's going to exist on the BBC in one form or another for basically the rest of our lives. But for the American audience out there or the rest of the world, if it does get renewed for next season, I would really like to see them also get the rights for all of Doctor Who on Disney.
Yeah.
Like, it all being in one place feels like such a better experience for new people starting the show, rather than most of it being on HBO Max and the rest of it being on Disney Plus, and spread out all over the place.
Yeah, because at the moment it's on 3 different streaming services. Classic Who is available for free on Tubi, so that's not too much to complain about.
Yeah.
Then most of Modern Who is, 2005 to 2022, yes, is on HBO Max. So that's 3 different services, yeah. It's we should mention that One Piece is coming to BBC iPlayer, which is fucking shocking. That is cool. Shocking.
Really random. It's a really random thing for the BBC to suddenly, especially with Netflix having most of the rights for One Piece, it seems. But they're getting, they've got the live action, they've got the new anime series coming out. They have the anime series for new episodes that get aired.
So what Netflix do is in America, Australia, and Canada, they have the first 500 odd episodes of One Piece available on Netflix, whereas BBC iPlayer are getting 1,075 episodes straight away almost. By the end of the year, they'll have over 1,000 episodes compared to Netflix in America, which is half that episodes.
It's so
I think we have a better deal. That's insane.
I'd like the idea of being able to sit down and watch it. I do not know if I'm going to be able to get through it. That's so many episodes.
Yeah, you're probably better off waiting for the new anime series, which is going to be I think that's gonna, because they're working closely with the original creator to be like, there's some inconsistent stuff very early on, so we'll kind of work with the original creator to kind of re-enhance the original stories so it fits more in terms of how, the continuity and all that shit. So it's probably going to be a better experience, because I'm only like 150 episodes in with the original anime. I have over 1,000 episodes left, which
I'm yeah,
is 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 insane.
I'm like that with Dragon Ball. I think I'm like 50 episodes into Dragon Ball, and I'm like, okay, I only have a million more to go.
Yeah. Yeah, once you start, you end up reaching a roadblock, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to continue because there's so many episodes left.
Sometimes,
It's
sometimes you just want a break. Sometimes you just want to like
yeah.
a break from the same thing, especially if it's going on for so long, and then you take such a long break that the idea of coming back, you're like, oh, but I've kind of forgotten everything, and there's so much still to
Yeah.
get through, and I can just not watch it. That's fine. I'll just not watch it.
But getting One Piece is the kind of shit that BBC iPlayer needs to do because more and more younger audiences are moving away from BBC iPlayer and into stuff like Netflix. Like we don't use BBC iPlayer outside of watching Doctor Who, so if you have
Oh,
more stuff that
I
appeals to our generation,
occasionally I'll check out the odd BBC show, but 90% of them
yeah,
are murder cop mysteries, and like there's so many on iPlayer,
yeah.
and I tend to dip out of those. I have no real
Mhm.
interest in them, so yeah, I mostly
But
watch Doctor Who on
yeah,
iPlayer for sure.
but if you're if you have One Piece and people are gonna take a while to get through all 1,000 episodes of One Piece, eventually they're gonna get sometimes BBC iPlayer does a pre-roll advert. Sometimes you'll get somebody who watches an advert for Doctor Who. Oh my god, I want to watch Doctor Who. This looks really good actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Get people more interested in watching BBC shows. That makes more sense to me. That's a good move for BBC.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I might start One Piece when it comes in,
You
uh,
should.
but I really doubt I'll be able to stick my way through it. But who knows? But speaking of things with lots of stories in them, there's a
Oh,
Doctor
yeah,
Who.
good segue.
There's a Doctor Who book coming out. Doctor Who 15 Doctors 15 Stories, Tales of Science, Magic, Monsters, and Time Travel from the best writers in the universe. I don't remember writing this. 15 wonderful tales of adventure, science, magic, monsters, and time travel featuring all 15 Doctors are waiting for you in this very special Doctor Who volume. Includes a bonus story starring the 14th Doctor and a very familiar foe, and a brand new, very exciting, very exclusive new tale that will feature the 15th Doctor, written
Oh
by
boy.
best-selling author
Oh boy.
Faraday. Ooh, that's a lot of symbols on that name. Abedika
Yes, it's
Lamai. I'm gonna find out how to pronounce this. I'm gonna Google pronounce because that is
yes.
too
For
hard.
those, yeah. There's a lot of symbols above
I got it.
the vowel
Okay.
here.
So it's nothing what I would have expected. Farida Abika Iyi Mide. So
Okay.
apparently that's how you pronounce that last name. I've already forgotten it. Um Abika
It's not.
Iyi Mide. I'm sorry. That is a tough last name. That's a lot of like little dashes above like every single
Mhm.
letter. Very interesting. I
Yeah,
wonder.
it's not a name I've ever seen before, but
No, but she's apparently a novelist. So there you go. She's a British novelist, short story writer, and columnist. Her debut novel, the young adult thriller Ace of Spades, received the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Literary Work for Youth Teens in 2022. So that's cool.
nice.
But yeah, Doctor Who book coming out. 15 Doctor Who stories set in Doctor Who land. Will you
Yeah.
read
So
this book?
this
Bet
is.
not.
I mean, I've already read this book pretty much.
Gasp.
This is this is a book that fucking comes out every time there's a new Doctor, except they add a new story
Oh,
onto it.
interesting. That's so
Because
cheap.
I know, yes, because I got the original book when it was 11 Doctors in 11 stories, and then they did 12 Doctors, 12 stories. 13 Doctors, 13 stories, 14 Doctors,
That's
14
so annoying.
stories.
Like,
This
if you
is the
want,
fifth release.
that's so annoying. Like, if you want to get all of those stories, and you just have to keep buying
Yes.
the same 11 stories over and over again. That's super annoying.
Yes.
God damn.
It's kind of ridiculous because you can get 15 writers to write 15 brand new stories, right? That
Yeah.
seems fairly simple to
Big
do.
Finish do that every week. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I probably won't get this. It's for £13.45, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
The audiobook
Especially,
is £28 for some reason.
I guess you got to pay the actor, the narrator, more money than they
I
got to take their
guess.
share. So, yeah, weird. What's interesting here at the bottom of this news document, Scott, is you have yet
Yes.
again included the Big Finish releases. When at this
Is it?
point, I think about 2-3 months ago, we said we were going to stop that, and now we haven't stopped it. We've just continued on with
Uh,
Big Finish releases. So.
what can I say except it's been a slow news month. And also, one
But
of these stories I might actually get. I will get to that.
okay,
'Cause
okay.
I want to start listening to Big Finish,
You say this every month,
and
every month,
I want to start.
every month. Same conversation. Same. It's like yeah. It's like the opposite of someone
Uh,
with an addiction, As I want to stop, I want to start. It's, I want to start doing this. I just,
it's a good problem to have, I guess.
yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
as we get to the end of this news episode, let's jump into what's coming out with Big Finish this in the month of September. First up, we have got Doctor Who: The Fourth Doctor Adventures, Series 13. Dominant Species. This is 2 stories. The Face in the Storm by Sarah Gorchala and Dominant Species by John Dorney, which is in 4 parts, so that's quite a lot. The Face in the Storm, 1916, and the TARDIS has landed in the cargo hold of the SS Maycrest, a ship transporting soldiers across the Atlantic. Except that's not all that's being transported across the ocean, because the Doctor and his friends find a strange crate in the hold, a crate that's unnaturally cold. Was this written by Dr. Seuss? But the contents of the crate are not the ship's biggest secret, nor its deadliest threat, which sounds, I guess, kind of spooky and cool. Dominant Species. It's been a long time since the invasion of Telleria. The population is enslaved and subject entirely to the will of the conquerors, the Dominators, and their deadly robot servants, the Quarks. That's very generic sci-fi names. The Doctor, Harry, and Naomi stumble into the perilous scenario and are soon separated, but freeing the people of Telleria should be business as usual, shouldn't it? Where the Dominators are concerned, things may not be so simple. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like some Big Finish stories for sure.
Yeah, the Dominators and the Quarks are from a second Doctor story called The Dominators. So this is a sequel, I guess. Probably like the 1100th sequel to that story, because Big Finish love doing sequels.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love a good sequel? Just pump them out, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, this stars Tom Baker and was probably, it was recorded on the 14th and 21st of October,
Yeah.
2019, and the 5th and 13th of October, 2020. If you wanted a glimpse into how much Tom Baker they have recorded, this was done last decade.
Also, Tom Baker in this picture looks like a different person to the Tom
He
Baker
does.
now, because
Yeah.
obviously Tom Baker has lost quite a bit of weight recently in recent
Yeah,
times.
crazy amount of weight
But
recently.
he's still getting around, and he's still happy to meet fans. He loves getting around. So it's I'd love to be 90 years old and still be able to get around. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I feel like it's the sort of thing that if he doesn't get up and get around, he will not
Yeah.
do so in the future. So he's got to make sure he's up and about every day.
But
But
yeah,
yeah.
they've probably got like 50 episodes left. In the
Oh
backlog
my God, yeah,
for
they have
Tom Baker
loads.
stuff.
Yeah, no, they're gonna be releasing Tom Baker episodes long after he's passed.
which is a sensible move. You know, if you have
Yeah,
Tom Baker and he's willing to do the work, might as well get as much as you can.
yeah, for sure. Do you want
It
to
must
take
be
this
so
next one?
weird. It must be so weird to write a Doctor Who episode and have to wait 5 years, or
Yeah,
over 5 years for it to be released. That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah. It's fine. I'm sure Big Finish will have you write 1,000 more before, you know.
Our next one is Doctor Who: The Stuff of Legend. This is an Eighth Doctor audio drama. This is the studio version, as you recall. This is the story that got a theater production or a table read production where you can go
Hmm.
pay money to see them read the script, which is cool. Something is afoot in the lonely Cornish village of Merrymaid Bay. Rumours of dead men working in the tin mines have sent a chill throughout the community, and it's up to the Doctor and Charlie to get to the bottom of the mystery. Again, Charlie is like the Eighth Doctor's second companion, so this is
Hmm.
going back to like the 2006 Eighth Doctor series. Can the legends of Ibuka that haunts the mines be true? And just what awesome power do the Doctor's greatest enemies, the Daleks, threaten to unleash upon the universe? Of course, you have to involve the Daleks
Yeah,
in some way.
yeah, classic. It sounds like your standard Big Finish affair, and it's even got your standard Big Finish colored poster on it with lots of talking heads and an orange and blue background. Um,
And you fucking got a Dalek with a chainsaw?
chainsaw, like it's like a like three saw blade thing. It's kind of cool. Uh, but yeah, I'm sure it's fun.
Yeah, this next one, I am the most interested in.
Okay. Doctor Who, The Fifth Doctor Adventures, The Great Beyond. The Doctor has been sent to Beyond for the rest of his natural lives. In the years after a devastating intergalactic war, a prison facility was set up on a distant planet. To preserve the fragile peace, the most dangerous former combatants are sentenced to life in Beyond. Like the notorious Starclare sisters, whose involvement on both sides of the war is the stuff of legend, as well as a certain Time Lord with a reputation for interfering in things that don't concern them. But there's something else on the planet too, something that adds an infinite variety of agony to a life sentence on Beyond, and makes the inmates wish for the relative comfort of death. Because what's coming to those who stay too long in Beyond is almost too hideous to contemplate. Alive and conscious, deprived of your senses and all movement, just locked in, alone in a darkness that lasts forever. So that's
That sounds fucking
interesting.
dope. That sounds like a interesting psychological thriller. And also,
Mm-hmm.
being deprived of all your senses is an interesting move for an audio drama where you're deprived of your sense of sight. So I imagine
Yeah.
that's going to be the main thing that the Doctor is
Oh, I
deprived of
can't
in this
see. Yeah.
place. So I imagine, if it's done really well, this is gonna have like really good audio design.
Hmm.
So I am very curious about this one. I might pick it up. It's a Fifth Doctor audio drama,
Yeah.
so
I it
I'm
does
very curious about this one.
it does sound quite interesting. I'm looking forward to listening to it in 5 years when it comes on the free feed. Uh, but no, it does sound cool.
Producer David Richardson said the Fifth Doctor and his companions had brilliant stories on TV, but none of them went beyond 4 episodes. The Great Beyond is a massive 6 episodes, 3 hours of audio,
Wow.
which for under 1899, that's pretty decent value
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
content, which allows writer James Kettle so much more scope for world building and character development, and more opportunities to up the stakes. So I'm very interested in this one.
Cool.
This is the Doctor and his friends in prison, but a prison with a difference. On a bleak alien world, and they'll discover that there's a terrible price to pay if they are ever to return to their old lives. Very curious about this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in it as well. I don't think I'm gonna buy it, but I am interested in it. It does sound like it'll be a banger of a story for sure. I just know I will not find the time to sit and listen to it.
Yeah.
Like, um, then we have a bunch of non-Doctor Who stuff coming out. Space 1999, more like Space 1990. Bye. Go to the next one. Do you want to take the next story?
Oh yeah, it's my turn to read.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it
The next one is Dark Gallifrey, the War Master, Part 3.
Dark
So this is,
Gallifrey.
yep, this is the. I think this is the midway point of the Dark. I almost said Mark Gallifrey.
Mark
Dark
Gallifrey.
Gallifrey series. This is the halfway point, I think. The Master and Captain John are trapped amid the ruins of Dark Gallifrey, where familiar faces and infinite impossibilities gather. With his dream of the ultimate weapon almost within his grasp, the Master revels in the chaos, but all roads lead to the Abomination. Okay, is this the Incredible Hulk character? No, it's Abomination. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I would care more if I was listening to Dark Gallifrey, but everything about Dark
Yeah.
Gallifrey hasn't really appealed to me. But
The War Doctor is in this one though, so that's something.
sure, yeah, yeah.
Which
Cool.
there has to be a plot line where the War Doctor gets amnesia, so he doesn't recognize the War Master in Utopia. So
he's
that's annoying.
Well, in Utopia, the Doctor just like he doesn't remember the War Doctor at all, or he's blocked out the War Doctor, you know. So it's, I guess, just choosing not to remember, like it's no, I don't-
Convenient.
yeah, I've blocked out. That's Doctor Who, you know. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you see the same face in different places. Look at Capaldi. He's all over the place. It's infinite universe. The next up, we've got Doctor Who: The New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, Volume 8, The Eternity Club 1. So that's a very long title. Welcome to the Eternity Club, where a warm welcome awaits the universe's greatest explorers. A place of mystery, intrigue, and creeping danger. Professor Bernice Summerfield has finally been invited to join, but membership comes at a terrible price. This is two stories: The Armageddon Chair and Triumph of the Draven. The Armageddon Chair. Bernice Summerfield is still settling in at the Eternity Club. Secretary Pym sends her on a quest enlisting help from Draconians, Sontarans, Dravens, and the club's enigmatic oldest member. And then Triumph of the Draven, an archaeological expedition led by a Draven Queen. What secrets has she uncovered in the forgotten desert of Parun, and why are people dying? Doesn't really give away a whole heap of plot there, but writer and producer James Goss said, Benny's finally made it. She's a member of an elite club of the galaxy's top explorers living a life of luxury on their private asteroid. Only not everything is as it seems. The club is falling apart. The members seem to be stirring up an intergalactic war between the Draconians and the Sontarans. There's a terrifying and mysterious old woman in the library, and no one at the club can quite remember how they got there. So what's really interesting there is, why didn't they just write that for the description of the episode?
Yes. I'm finding that the interviews with the actual writers and producers sell the story more than the actual synopsis.
Yeah, they give you way more information and make it seem way more interesting than just, these are the people that are there. Like...
Also, but this is a story I'm interested in, but I've my only exposure to Bernice Summerfield is the Human Nature book, where she's the companion to the Seventh Doctor, and I have no idea what's happened since then. I know she's been doing stuff with the Unbound Doctor, her husband in real life, David Warner, but he recently passed away, so now she's on her own again, and I don't know what's going on.
Interesting.
But she's a good character. She's a really interesting
lot.
character.
There is a lot of Bernice Summerfield, Big Finish, but
this is the character where, the BBC were like, hey, we'll give you a trial run. Let's give you this character from the novels. She's a companion to the Seventh Doctor in the The new adventure novels from Virgin Media will give you the license to try and do this character. If you do really well, they'll give you the Doctor Who license. And we've obviously been doing very well since then.
Yeah.
It's insane just how much they do.
Yeah. Do you want to take this last one?
Yes, sir.
Terrible piece of Photoshop. I mean, it's okay. It's just a guy that's super fake.
This is Torchwood, the Hollow Choir. There's always been something in the caves. Over the years, people have gone in and not come out. But that was a very long time ago. They've been sealed for the best part of a century. 8 hours ago, something changed. 3 students somehow found their way in. Now time's running out to rescue them. Their one hope is a man called Rhys Williams, because somehow he has a map.
Hell yeah. Woohoo, Reese. Yeah, okay, it's Torchwood. Reese is going spelunking, I guess.
There's no information in the backstage.
Yeah, there's nothing else about it. No. So, interesting.
But yeah, good. I love Reese. He's probably my favorite Torchwood character. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, good old Reese. He's a very funny man. He's a good actor, man. He's also like the only actor who's constantly available to do Torchwood audio dramas.
Oh well, good for him. Get that bag, you know. But hey, that is all we've got for this month. That's the end of the news. That's cool. So what have we got coming up next? Let's find out what we've got coming up next week. Next week we
I'm sorry. Out of all the stories here, I'm most interested in the Fifth Doctor one, The Great Beyond.
Yeah,
and that's the one I'm probably gonna get.
I'm not gonna get any of them. None of them. That with The Great Beyond piques my interest. I like it. Sounds interesting, but I listen to. I like fair. The podcast. The podcast feed is enough for me. I really recommend the.
I need to get into it.
Tales of the TARDIS, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth.
You're correct.
Yeah, it's worth subscribing to that in whatever your podcast channel is, because there's a ton of them up now. Absolutely, so many to get through. So, it's almost as overwhelming as regular Big Finish releases. My downloads and my podcasts at the minute is about 90% just those ones. So they release them fast and furious. But next week, we are concluding our look at Children of Earth as we look into day 5 and give our thoughts and opinions on that, which will be out on Friday at 8 a.m. UK time. I'm very much looking forward to finishing up Children of Earth. It's been a superb story so far, and spoilers, I really enjoyed the final as well. I thought it was pretty good. Not without its flaws, but it was still pretty good. And then as we move into September properly, we will be taking a dip back into Classic Who. It's been a while since we were last with Classic Doctor Who. When was the last time we covered Classic Who?
The War Games in April.
Wow, yeah, it's been a very long time since we covered Classic Who, but we are now going to be covering the 4th Doctor story, Pyramids of Mars, which is not a story I have I seen Pyramids? Yes, I have seen Pyramids of Mars. Yes, which is the
you've seen most of it.
I've seen the the shortened whatever, the re-edit version that they did for the final. So we are covering the original TV airing, 4 parts of Pyramids of Mars. I don't know if I'm really ready to bring Sutek back into my life, but
God, every time you say Sutek, I just think of how awful the pun was. Oh, Susan Tech. Sutek. I can't stop thinking of it. Like Russell T Davies retroactively ruined the name Sutek.
I did not like that final so much. You know, and like Pyramids of Mars, at least that the re-edit of it wasn't the most spectacular episode of Doctor Who I've ever seen. So it'll be interesting to dive into it properly for the podcast, but maybe I'll come out with a different opinion and love Sutek, but I doubt it. Then it'll
Yeah.
be, and we're covering that for all of September before we get into the news, and then October begins, and we have got that scheduled out as well. Isn't it crazy that we're coming to the end of the calendar
Yep.
already?
I know.
Where's this year gone?
Crazy year.
That's insane. That's just flown by. We're almost at the end of it. But hey, got that to look forward to in September. Thought you were done with Sutek. Think again, motherfucker. Until then, you can subscribe to us here at Who Watches Who Pod. Or Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast on YouTube, where you can see us in video form every single Friday, and at the end of the month, live, like we are right now, for the monthly news. Maybe there'll be more news in September. I doubt it, but maybe there'll be more.
Next month's news. One new person got added to the cast of the Sea Devil spin-off.
Yeah, probably. I would not be surprised if that was in fact the case.
Oh, I mean, one piece of news we didn't cover in this episode.
One Piece,
apparently,
we talked about that.
No, yeah, apparently, somebody saw, in the Sea Devil spin-off, Russell Tovey got shirtless in a scene. That's a piece of news we haven't covered yet.
Wow.
So that is fascinating. He got shirtless in a scene.
That's for grown-ups. You can also listen to the podcast in audio form anywhere you get podcasts. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. You can plug us into your podcast feed of choice. And we upload at the exact same time. I'm gonna actually check right now something. If I look at our audio analytics, our most why is the app version the web page?
While you're looking for that, be sure to leave a review. Tell your friends about us. Give us a review, a 5-star review. Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what we could improve upon. We'd really appreciate honest feedback. You know. You got way close.
so for some interesting statistics on the audio stuff.
Yes.
Because I find this interesting to listen to or to look at every now and then. 44% of our audience that listen on audio platforms are in the United States of America.
Wow.
38% are in the UK. Out of those, in the US, California is our most listened to state, with the city of Pleasanton holding 49% of the listeners in California. So if you're listening in Pleasanton, I know where you live. Our most used apps that you can listen to the podcast on, Podcast Addict. 45% of our audience use Podcast Addict. That's my personal app of choice. Fantastic podcast app. Apple Podcast, 35.9% of our audience listen to us there. Spotify, 7%. Podcast Republic, 4%. Web browser, 2%. If you're someone that listens to us in their web browser, the audio version, that's very peculiar. 88. This might not be a surprise. 88% of our audience is male.
But maybe the people listening to us on their web browser, maybe they're at work.
Maybe
that's interesting if people listen to us while we're doing our office job.
Well, that leads into the second bit, which I find spectacularly interesting. The average age of our listener, with 76.9%, is 35 to 44 years old. We skew for fucking middle-aged men. That is our target audience. 44-year-old men, as most of the people that listen to us, with only 3% being 23 to 27-year-olds, which is the age that we are.
Yes, that's insane.
Very interesting. So, but that's just the audio realm. Maybe we're different. Maybe younger people prefer watching the video podcast than to listen to it. And various statistics. If you live in Australia, specifically Victoria, Australia, I know where you live.
But hey, also give us a follow on Twitter and Facebook because we are planning on doing more social media stuff.
Perpetually, always
We'll
planning.
we'll be more active maybe. But I don't know. Social media is such a mind fuck to me. I don't know how to
I
navigate it
I
anymore. It's
just I know for a fact as soon as we start posting on Twitter, it's gonna get shut
uh-huh.
down. It's like they're gonna shut it down. So like it's a dying
Yeah.
website. But yeah, we'll get to social mediaing. Honestly, the best way if you want to keep in touch with the show and keep up to date is follow us on our YouTube page. On it, like we can do like community posts and chats and leave comments and we'll reply and things like that. That's the best place to find us. Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast on YouTube. Just search Who Watches Who. We're the first result. Like we're so easy to find on YouTube. I really recommend subscribing to us on that. But until then, Scott, somehow we've gone almost an hour and a half. Can you believe that? And this absolutely
Um
dead news.
yep.
Yeah.
Just no news. Hopefully there's news next month because this has been such a dry spell. It's been shocking.
Story of my
But
life.
we've had worse.
Story of my life.
Got right. Bye.
Goodbye.
Let's
Goodbye.
get out of here.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. And hang on, I'm gonna keep waving until I see myself wave on the live stream. I'm still not
I mean,
confident
there
ending
is a delay.
streams. Yeah,
There is a delay.
I'm really worried that when I hit stop streaming, it just cuts the stream off. I'm not entirely certain if that's